Okay, this is the part they call the flange. It's something you might find like on a wheel hub or something. We use this kind of thing on the robotics wheels all the time. Basically, you're going to create a sketch. I'll show you the sketch I created. That looks just like this. Okay. Make sure you use those dimensions. Make sure it's fully constrained, and make sure you have a construction line here, because we're going to use the revolve feature to revolve this L shape around the axis, and that's what leaves the hole in the middle. So when you're done with that sketch, you're going to do the revolve, and you should end up with a part just like this. Okay. Then the next thing you're going to do is create a sketch on this surface to make the holes. So they talk about using the hole feature, but I typically only use the hole feature if you need a special feature like a thread or a counterbore or countersink. Otherwise, it's just as easy and simpler to use an extruded circle. And you need to place the center of the circle on the, and there's a couple different ways you can do this. You could do this by creating a point and circular pattern the point and then create the holes on those center points. But the easier way I found from having done this before is just create one circle, and then you use the extrude the hole subtractively, and then you'll use the circular pattern on the hole. So I'll show you how that works. This hole, I believe, and the illustrations in the worksheet are a little confusing, so hopefully this video will help clear it up. We want it centered over the center of the flange, and the radius of this is 1.650 right there, and the diameter of this is 1/2 inch right there, and there's our hole. Notice, not fully constrained. I'll leave it up to you to constrain it because I don't want to take the time in this sketch. You should know how to do that by now. But we want to extrude that. Make sure now we've got multiple profiles we can select. Make sure you only select the small hole, and we want to choose cut so it cuts it out subtractively. And for the depth, don't do 1 inch. Make sure you do through all. That ensures that if the depth of this part ever changes, it still goes through the entire depth of the new part. So there's one hole, and now here's where you're going to use the circular pattern tool to select just that negative extrusion. Use the axis rotational axis as the any of the circles there, and now you'll see you get 6 holes or 6 circles. I think it calls for 10 of those. We say OK, and there are your holes. Okay. Now we could call it quits there. However, you may have noticed in the illustrations, it doesn't give you any directions on how to do this, but in the illustrations it shows a keyway. Now a keyway is a little notch in this circle. Picture you're putting this on a shaft and you're going to attach it to a motor. The only way to really hold it tightly onto the shaft is to have some kind of little keyway or a little insertion that keeps it from spinning. So here's how I like to create the keyway. Typical keyways on a shaft this size are maybe 1/8 of an inch. So I'll take the rectangle. Notice it's the 2-point center rectangle. Click that, and again, it doesn't matter how tall it is. Well, actually, it does matter how tall it is. This is I believe 3/4 inch hole. We want it to be an 1/8 inch keyway, so I'm going to make it 1/8 inch. Oh, and remember, I don't have to do 1/8 inch to decimal conversions. I can just do 1/8 right in there. Okay, and then I want to make it 7/8 of an inch tall so that it actually goes up 1/8 of an inch beyond the diameter of the hole. Okay, so I'm happy with that, but I only want to cut a keyway on one side. So what I'm going to do here is use the trim command, which is right here, and I'm going to trim out the sides of this rectangle. Again, notice I lose my constraints when I trim it. Okay, and that could be a concern, but I'll leave it to you to constrain this. You've learned enough about constraining sketches to know how to do it. Then when I do my extrusion, I just want to select that one little bit there, and again select cut through all, and then that'll cut my keyway through the whole part like that. Okay, so I go, let's make sure I did this. The first time I did this, it didn't quite work. Cut through all, say OK. There's my keyway. If I look at it from the front, I can see the keyway. And there you have it, completed flange.